Hi, I'm John Conrad, Executive Director of the International Society of Furniture Designers, and you're watching A Student's Perspective.
Hi, I'm Katie,
And I'm Maia.
and we are here at Congdon Yards at High Point, North Carolina for High Point Market. And we are speaking today with John Conrad. Hello, thank you
Hi.
for speaking with us
Hi, Maia.
today. Would you like to just start off by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about you?
I'm John Conrad. I'm the Executive Director of the International Society of Furniture Designers, which is a nonprofit group. Started about 40 years ago, actually 40 years ago this market.
Oh,
We started it basically as a support group for furniture designers. Probably something that a lot of people don't know, our second president was a woman
awesome.
back in 1980, whatever, when we started 40 years ago. That's a significant thing to say,
Yeah.
knowing how the industry was back then versus how it is right now. I've worked for 47 years in the furniture industry, coming in 48 very soon, and I have enjoyed every minute of it. My special enjoyment comes from motivating and connecting people. I think more so now in my latter years in the industry than when I was just the world beater starter when I joined into this thing coming right out of school.
Oh, okay. So, what made you want to study furniture in school?
I couldn't think of anything. No, not that much. No. I have an undergraduate degree in marketing from Southern Cal and a engineering graduate degree from NC State, and one begat the other. When I was at Southern Cal, marketing then was like Procter and Gamble, all these big marketing companies. The thing is, you're a number, and back then, if like they needed to reduce their costs, they'd lop off about 3,000 people, and you might be one of them if you're a young employee. I didn't want that in my career. I thought, let me focus on something that I could be better at. One thing I was thinking about was getting in the entertainment business. Living in LA, that was a thing, and I that was another thing that hey, you can have a job, and guess what? Next week you can have no job, or you can be just doing going around to various auditions and hearing a lot of no's. I needed more of a constant thing. I was a little too conservative. Uh, Knowing what I know now, I probably would have started going around to auditions. But I love the furniture business. My father was involved in it with a company called Gunlock. And they're up in upstate New York. And I worked summers in those factories. And I went to school. And I couldn't get the sawdust out of my blood, so to speak. So I just said, where is a good school in the U.S. to start learning about that? And that was NC State here in Raleigh, North Carolina. So they had a furniture program then, and I started in that way, and started at Lane. Lane Furniture at that time was making cedar chests,
Okay.
occasional tables. So that kind of got me into the business.
Oh, very nice.
Long answer, sorry.
No,
No, that's
good.
awesome.
That's what we want. I want to hear about it.
Okay.
So.
What would you say is like your specialty in furniture? Like, what do you enjoy most?
Well, now collaborative efforts. If I can put one person together with a job or with an internship, or put two people together to create something new, and maybe it's a company take an idea and make it spark and ignite, if you would. That's what I like now. When I started, I really wanted to learn every job I could learn in the furniture business. So I worked my way through factories. I was a supervisor in a machine room. Eventually I actually wrote the sales training program for the Lane Company. I learned then how to write the other programs for then their subsidiaries. They owned, at that time, Hickory Chair, Lane Recliners, Lane Venture, which did outdoor furniture. So I kind of went around and helped write those programs. And that way I learned a lot about what they did. And then I went on the road as a salesperson. And then I ended up coming back off the road and getting into sales management and then merchandising. And then was able to pull from my education and start designing and merchandising furniture for several companies. And one of them was Powell, which is a lower end company. And then but one who did beaucoup large cuttings of furniture. So, they would sell one item 15,000 deep.
Wow.
Container loads of it. So that got me into doing overseas work.
Oh,
In
really?
Europe, I worked for a company called Luca in northern Germany. And learned a lot about wearing thick shoes in January Cologne markets. I wondered why everyone else had them. And then my legs froze one week. I said, it's probably a good idea to wear. Let me find out from the Swiss salesman, where does he get his shoes? And it worked great because the next year I was much warmer.
That's good.
But you learn cultures too when
Yeah.
you do that.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You spoke a little bit about your marketing background. How does that play in? Because you use it every day. So how do you use it even after moving into the furniture industry?
In a lot of ways. Marketing, as much as you market a product, you also are marketing yourself, your personal brand, if you will. And so that allowed me to be able to market my idea to the people in the department that I was running, let's say. Taking them to the other end of the factory and saying, you see this occasional table that we're putting in this box right now? This is what you do that ends up on this table. And it's got to look like this because the consumers won't buy it if it doesn't look this good. And that was a way of marketing end product design to people who are doing elements of that design that really don't look a thing like the end product where they are in the process. But if you can't market that idea to them in what they do, then you're lost.
Yeah.
Does that help you? Does that
Yeah.
answer a little bit?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've been interested in learning more of the business side of things as well as the design aspects. So that's really interesting that you get to do kind of like everything almost.
Well, the greatest thing I thank my old man and myself for agreeing to him. You need to know more than just the marketing aspect of the business. You need to understand what is the product, what's driving the brand, and then you need to be able to speak to both languages.
Right.
And if you can't, you kind of are a little lost in the factory when you're trying to learn a little more about the product.
Yeah, that's really good advice, I think.
Yeah, thank you. So you work with
SFD.
ISFD. So how did you start, how did that begin for you and how did you start getting involved?
Let me see. I was dragged in, kicking and screaming.
Didn't want to at all.
I was going to retire. In
Okay.
2013, I was going to retire. I was going to do maybe consulting work. And a gentleman by the name of Dudley Moore, Jr. Dudley, I think you saw him get an award the other night at the Pinnacles. Otto and Moore is his design firm, but he was then the president of ISFD. At that time, it was the American Society of Furniture Designers. And we suddenly realized, hey, we have members that are in Canada, South America, Europe. Let's call it the International Society.
Nice.
So we changed that. And Dudley just said, he invited me to lunch one day and prevented me from leaving until they offered the position and said, you need to be our next executive director. And that wonderful woman who was then the executive director, was about to retire. So I was president before I became executive director.
Wow.
And we then, I said, fine, let me give it a try for a couple of years, see what happens. And so here we are. Next year will be 10 years.
Wow.
And that's gone by like a blur. But I like it because we involve ourselves with the students. Even when they're thinking about design as a career, and I really don't care whether it's product design, or it's interior design, or it's graphics arts. I want to tell you, half the senior members of our organization had a heavy involvement in graphic arts. Some of them, that was their major in college, and here they are designing furniture now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So you don't ever pin yourself down to one particular direction. There's a million different
Yeah.
great.
I think
great-
that's kind of the theme we've noticed throughout this High Point experience is that there's so many different like aspects you could get into. Yes.
The arc of job careers in this business are endless.
Yeah.
Are endless. You were at the Pinnacle Awards last night, and we're talking about community, because if there's anything that's important that I think the driving force in design is, it's collaboration.
Yeah.
And really, you end up, you'll get nothing done if you don't collaborate.
Yeah.
That's
You'll
really
find out like how much you could get done with so many different people.
Right.
So
And that's cool that the theme, you said, I think at the Pinnacle Awards last night, the theme of the High Point Market this year was community. So I think that like goes hand in hand with the collaboration
Yeah.
aspect.
And let's face it, we realized the worth of our community over the last 18 months of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you finally get back out in the community, you go, "Ooh, this is great! I've got neighbors. I can talk to everybody."
Yeah.
It's
Aw,
great.
that is great. Going back to the student engagement, what are some like programs you put in place to like involve more students or things you do with the students?
Well, we are making a big effort this year and into next, obviously coming out of COVID, to establish student chapters. Student membership for ISFD is $35 a year. It's really nothing, but the benefits that come with that is immediate monetary benefits that I know, because I've personally saved it. We have this great discount rate with Office Depot. So like just make copies, it's 60% less. Like, it's unbelievable. But all the other things that they sell, you get a big discount off of that. The other we just came up with is a consultancy group helping with healthcare insurance. And if there's one thing that I hear from students and postgraduate students who are starting either hanging their own design shield up or starting to work with a team independently, they've discovered finding good healthcare insurance is tough.
Yeah.
Well, this is free. This consultancy group that's helping us, they don't have an iron in the fire. They're not selling a product to you. Their job is to get you involved with the right product or group of products that work for you. And hilariously, we had the head of this organization at our board meeting a week ago, and her first comment to one of the gentlemen on our board was, "Are you planning to be pregnant this year?" And Bob said, "No." And she said, "Good, because you really don't need that coverage. And if you don't look at the package, you don't know what you don't need
Right.
and what you do need." So that's part of it that comes along with the membership. The other is networking. Biggest thing we can offer is networking with senior, junior, and active members in the design community. We offer, we'll connect you with opportunities for being an intern, paid and unpaid, it depends on what we can arrange. Shadowing at markets, being with an active designer who's pitching their designs to an active manufacturer. How does that work? How do they present themselves? How do they present their product, their design product to them? One thing I'm going to say right now, if you show anything to anybody on the internet, by way of email, texting, I don't care what it is. Make sure your name, the name of your company, and the date you did that design are on that whatever file it is.
Yeah.
Because this industry is just like any other industry, full of unscrupulous individuals as well as wonderful people.
Right.
Yeah.
Make sure you cover your tracks.
Okay, that's good to know.
That's good advice.
So those are just the networking, some quick benefits, but the other thing we do is we do the innovation and design competition,
Oh, right.
which has a parallel student and professional maker designer pathway to winning awards. And we'd love to have more and more students involved in that. You'll be hearing more about that on our website and through our student also gets every month we have a newsletter that comes out. We also have the Design Between the Lines podcast.
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a listen to that. I'm very excited
Yeah,
to
me
hear
too.
about it.
We just completed our 40th episode.
Wow, that's exciting.
That was with Jay and Maia. Jay is, her parents live here in Greensboro, that's how we got her cornered. But she lives in New York and runs Fashion Snoops. They are trend analyzers. And I said, so what are you thinking about right now? Well, we're thinking about 2023 and 24. I said, whoa,
Crazy.
that's out there. But that's what they do.
Yeah.
They are out there on
They
the forefront.
predict.
Yeah.
That's
In
awesome.
every category of business, not just home furnishings.
Oh, wow.
It's really good to be like a step ahead, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you talked about a little bit about the pandemic. How did that affect you and like your work?
Whoa. Well, obviously, just like you all,
Yeah.
you had no face-to-face meetings like overnight.
Mm-hmm.
The great thing about product design and a good amount of interior design, except meeting with clients, is you can do the work remotely. The toughest part of the switch, one of our board members is Taylor West. Taylor has a great design group here in High Point. He said it was suddenly like walking through mud. Everything was boom, 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 you're moving, and then all of a sudden everything slowed down to a crawl. And the biggest part of your job after you get your initial idea, you ideate, is working with the clients and working with your own team. Suddenly everybody overnight had to learn Zoom or Team or whatever you use, or all of the above.
Yeah.
And part of that was your collaborative effort in your own team. Much more difficult. You're not looking over each other's shoulders. You're not over a cup of coffee or tea, chatting out loud about what's going on, what's working, what's not working. It all slowed down a little bit. The next step in our process with remote, with interior, with product design, my process when I had to go learn Zoom and do all of that. The design process, let's face it, a lot of it is working with overseas manufacturers, right? You're on 2 different time zones, right? It's in most cases a 12-hour flip.
Yeah.
Your day is their night. So not only did you work your day shift, but at 8 o'clock at night, you're working their day shift
Wow.
till
Yeah.
whenever. And so you start using crazy cameras and things that they can do to pass through photos and FaceTiming and looking at the product. You can't put your hands on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing.
Yeah.
And then the latter part of that was once we shut everything off worldwide, nothing was made, nothing was thought of, no wood was cut, nothing moved for 3.5, 4 months. That was a problem. And obviously that resulted in what we're dealing with the problems we have now in the industry getting things shipped.
Did your company, or did you notice any companies that kind of their furniture designs maybe changed during the pandemic? Because I know some of the competitions we had at our school were kind of based around, like they ended up being based around COVID and working at home. So did you notice any of those?
Absolutely. First thing, obviously, was where's the work getting done? Mostly it was at the dining room table.
Yeah.
Right? Or at the kitchen counter, or at the island if you have one of those.
Yeah.
So how can you get out of your darn bedroom because you got a desk in there or a table And that's where or some people even were using their closets as,
Yeah.
as their Zoom room, and you got to get out of that. So first things first, home office. Absolutely, people. Home office, we saw it. Home office first, dining second, dining with a lot of great, cool functionality added to the dining pieces. Much more comfortable dining chairs. Upholstery that incorporated multifunction, for example, like arms that articulated that were on a post that could come around from the arm of the upholstery piece and turn and hold your iPad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Those
that's
kind
cool.
of things. Free-form tables that could go anywhere in a house, that could be adjustable height, hold an iPad, a phone, if you're doing talking like that, at an elevation that didn't show the fact that you were still wearing your fluffy slippers. That was a problem that everybody got used to real fast.
Yeah.
So all of that those were the first and foremost things. The other is people just got sick and tired of sitting on their sofas,
Yeah.
which were probably too old, right? And should have been changed a lot. Some were embarrassed by what their home looked like behind them. Sans, some of the stuff. Eventually they got really smart and started to use backdrops, photos.
Oh yeah. The green screen.
But that took a little while.
Yeah.
So you're talking home office, some bedroom, living room, and certainly dining changed. And honestly, going forward, your home is not just a place you stop by on the way to doing something else anymore.
Yeah.
It's literally the center of everything.
Right.
So that's, I'll give you a few ideas there.
Yeah, that was interesting.
So my next question would be, do you have any advice for someone navigating their first market, and like maybe some tips on how to make connections with some people, because that is your specialty?
Yeah. Be bold. Be friendly. Life skills. Get some life skills. Learn them. Ask about them. Ask our members. Reach out and ask us. Every time someone new joins ISFD, we have our board reach out and email that person and welcome them on board, no matter what level, student or otherwise. So be bold and reach out. If you're at an event like last night's Pinnacle Awards or anything during market, introduce yourself. Practice with each other. When you're go ahead, practice. Practice with a mirror. I don't care.
Yeah.
No one's going to be embarrassed by that, because honestly, that's what's going to make you comfortable in your own skin and about yourself and who you're representing you. So be open about that and be frank about that, and make sure that they understand that you want them to know you a little bit. Ask them questions. If you're going to meet somebody and you know you're going to meet somebody, learn a little bit about their company before you go to their showroom here. Learn a little bit about their company. Quickly look at their website. Get an idea what they make. Who are their go-to people on their contacts page or their about page? Go to that. Get that little paragraph in your mind. You know a little bit of what they're doing. So you have a couple of questions to ask as you're going through your showroom on a tour. It was said last night by Bill McLaughlin, who's the editor-in-chief of Furniture Today, and also by Bob Marisach at the end of the evening, who's the CEO of the International Market Centers here. They said that. They said, be bold, reach out, tell people who you are. You're never going to get any better audience than that moment right then when you introduce yourself. And I'll use an old sales phrase, ask for the order. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you're always selling something, an idea, your marketing like we talked about earlier. Ask for the order. Tell them who you are, you're interested, you're looking for a job, you're looking to build your career. Do they have opportunities in their design department, in their showroom design, whatever? Do they have contacts that they deal with on a really regular basis that are their clients? And you'd like to maybe reach out to them, but if you don't ask that question, you don't hear the names of other firms that you might contact. Make a note of later on your phone. again, that's part of that networking skill that is a life skill. You're never going to not use that the rest of your career,
Right.
wherever it goes.
Yeah, really working on being communicative and also listening, I think, is another thing we learned. Like, really listen to everyone around you and take it all in. Yeah.
Listening, a phenomenal skill.
Yeah.
I agree.
About High Point, since you've been doing this for a while, do you have a favorite part about High Point or something we should be looking out for?
Well, one of the places is where we're sitting right now, Congdon Yards.
Yes. Yeah, this is beautiful.
We're in the midst of what was Plant 7 of a big mill, one of the best mills in this area. And of course, the mills all eventually went offshore. And what do you do with a building like this? It's beautifully built.
Right.
You drop a 4-story glass elevator shaft and staircase through 4 floors, and you lease out the space for offices, for the generator here that is a maker's paradise. You have a space like this that we're sitting in that can have conferences and webinars, and of course they're building, by the way, a podcast recording booth here in the next building for future use.
That's
Note
awesome.
to you.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, this is a community building. What I like about High Point is redesigning itself right now. This started about 2 years ago. The baseball field behind us with the High Point Rockers. High Point University, literally in the last decade, has gone from 1,500 students to almost 6,000
Wow.
this year. They have a $2 billion building campaign, a remarkable campus. They just opened up their new basketball arena, conference center, and hotel.
Wow.
This area we're sitting in incorporates Stickley's offices, which now are owned by the Congdon family, which will be an extension of eventually the generator. And this parking lot over here will be eventually, a couple of years down the road, an event center. There will be a hotel across the street. This whole other side of the street has been purchased as part of that. You've got Splash Works on the corner. I advise you, go look at Tom Van Dessel's company. It's the coolest place. They print on anything, including leather.
Oh, wow.
It's phenomenal. They're very environmentally conscious. I'm giving a commercial for High Point, but
Yeah.
the fun is, it's a great place to come as a designer, no matter what you design. In between markets, not just at market. And also in between markets, you have the International Textile Alliance, who has showtime twice a year, not at April and October furniture market times. That's a great place to come and see great fabrics and get to know that industry.
Wow.
So it's growing in so many ways, and the Children's Museum will be opened up within the next 60 days.
Really?
This fall, huge children's museum. It's got dinosaurs, it's got fun things. So that's part of the rebirth of High Point.
Oh, wow.
What was it at one time just a mill town,
Right.
now is going to be a great place for designers to come, a design destination.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much inspiration, like as you said, at like every corner and every building is a new place. So this is really exciting.
If you don't know
buzzing
it, call
place.
me and I'll tell you where you go.
Okay, we will.
Yeah,
There's so much to look at. It's a lot.
We did some exploring around the elevator, but we'll have to take a peek in all those other spaces.
Yes, that's breathtaking. That site
Second
right there.
floor here, really great design group, one of the foremost interior design firms in this area, region of the country. You need to go meet those folks, they love you. One of their principals is a member of the High Point Market Authority Board of Directors, so, which, by the way, Dudley Moore, whose name I mentioned earlier, is the current chairman of the Board of Directors.
Okay.
So, there you
Wow.
go.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I guess our last question, but it doesn't have to be. If you could go back and give your student self advice, what would that be?
Wow. Okay.
Loaded question.
Go talk to Ron Howard and see if he's going to start a company. He sat in front of me in
Oh,
my
really?
cinema class. Yeah,
Wow.
dumbest move I ever heard. And he and I have the same hairline. So, no, my student self. Probably be more open-minded to what was coming in front of me in my junior, senior years in college, in undergrad, because that would help open my mind to what was going on in graduate school, or if at that time I chose to go ahead and start a career, I'd have much more in my mind about, from asking questions like you talked about earlier, and being bold enough to introduce myself. Probably that would have been starting earlier in my furniture career than I did. It took a while to get there.
Yeah. But now you're here.
Yeah.
And awesome.
Yeah, I understand that. I definitely feel like intimidated being here, but
Yeah.
definitely have to take that step, and we'll benefit in the long run for it.
Yeah, I think through the days we've kind of started to get more comfortable and like we'll just go after things.
Well, you're doing
day.
a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How has your experience been with meeting all these people that you're doing these interviews with?
Yeah. It's definitely been cool to like start meeting people. A little overwhelming for our first high point, but
Yeah.
it's so fun.
Oh,
Yeah,
can't
it
wait.
is really fun.
And we found out we get to come back in the spring, so
Yeah.
we're already excited for that. So
Well, you can see the other part of the 12 million square feet
yeah.
because it's a lot to cover in just a few days.
Yeah, it is a lot. We were lucky to be here a week, but
Yeah.
definitely lots.
We still can't even get to
Yeah.
everything in a week, so.
Well,
Yeah.
when you're gonna get your outline together, let me know and I'll throw a few new places that may have
Yeah.
opened up since between this market and next,
Oh, that's awesome.
to give you an idea of maybe a couple other places to see.
Yeah.
To do that.
Definitely.
That would be awesome. Thank
Great.
you.
Sure.
I feel like there's new places to see every day. And each person we're meeting, they're like, "Come see this, come."
Yeah.
So, Steven's saying our schedule's getting packed a little
Yeah.
bit, but it's definitely fun.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we've missed that you want to talk about?
I don't think so, except that, and I think you've already heard from Stephen on that we're working with you all on next year's innovation and design competition to build a bigger, better design competition for the student pathway. So you'll be hearing more about that as the next few months transpire. So
Great.
to be looking for that.
Yeah.
Thank
Exciting.
you.
My pleasure.
Cool. Thank you guys for watching A Student's Perspective. We're here with John Conrad and his amazing life that we've learned and all he has to do here with High Point. I'm Maya.
And I'm Katie.
And thank you. Tune in next time. Please like, comment, and share any questions you have, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.